Hi, everyone. I'm April.
And I'm Steven.
It's National Wellness Month. And in honor of National Wellness Month, we're going to be re-releasing some previous episodes that look at burnout, stress, mental health, and more. We'll also be using this time to enjoy the little tiny slice of Canadian summer that we get here with our family and friends.
Each re-aired episode is intended to not only give us and our team a little bit of a break, but it's also designed to make sure that you don't miss out on the best episodes during our busy summer schedule.
Whether you're listening for the first time, welcome, or revisiting these episodes, we hope that they give you some practical ideas, fresh perspective, and maybe even a little reminder to take care of yourself along the way.
And we'll be back in September with some brand new episodes, exciting guests, and some huge news that we're really excited to be sharing soon.
So until then, enjoy today's episode and have a wonderful summer. And thanks for listening to the ABA Business Leaders Podcast. Hello, everybody. Here we are again today with two of our panel members, Mallory and Jennifer. We're so happy to have them with us today. Thank you so much. So today we're going to be talking about empathetic leadership and how we can support our techs. We've talked about this multiple times, and we're continuing to talk about this because we all really we want to see our fields improve. And yeah, I don't know where I'm going with that, Steven. Where do you want to say?
I think that RBTs, I would say a majority of them feel used, feel like they're lesser than, feel like that they're not worthy, maybe. I don't know about that one, but maybe. I just, for the companies that we work with, at least what I hear a lot is like RBTs are the most critical part of an ABA practice. Well, let's treat them like they are, because a lot of practices are just not doing that. Obviously, again, we talked about this a couple of weeks ago, but all of these things on Reddit can't be false, right? I don't believe it. Not for like. These are well-meaning, for the most part, concerned individuals that want to do a good job, and for many reasons, they're struggling, right?
Right.
And I think we talked to somebody, I can't remember where, but he said he ran into I don't think that this RBT worked for him, but he was at Starbucks. And he was just having a conversation with a barista, and he was like, yeah, I used to be an RBT and I couldn't do it. Like, there was too much stress and burnout, and I make more here. So that can't, like, yeah,
right,
that needs to change, right?
So I finally did it. Steven's been talking about like how Reddit is a really great place to gather information, right? And so I did it. I put a timer on that. I didn't allow myself, because I could totally have like just been absorbed into this.
It's hard to,
Yes, I completely put a timer on myself. But so I have some notes here, and I'm going to be quoting some random people who posted on Reddit. They have handles. I'm not going to share their handles. I didn't even write their handles down when I was writing my notes. My whole point here was I just wanted to gather like a general sense of things, right? Okay. This is by no means like a huge deep dive. It doesn't take into consideration everyone's view, of course, right? There's just like 30 minutes on Reddit. And then also just something important to say too, we tend to say RBTs, but we mean all of you guys out there, all of the line workers, right? Whether you still are called behavioral therapist or, ABA therapist, tech, BT, behavior tech, RBT. You don't have to, this isn't just about those people who have the specific credential. It's this level of work, position. So I'm going to share a few things, and then we invited, Mallory and Jen here so that we can have a conversation of, to talk about this, to empathize with these guys, and also how we do it differently, and how we can, what are some solutions? How can we take some steps forward to help? So one of the first one is, someone said that they get the sense when they come to work, from their BCBAs, from their supervisors, and this was a clinical space, said that they just kind of feel like as soon as they show up, they have to just grin and bear it. And that's how they function through work every day, is they just got to grin and bear it. Someone else said that the system is on the brink of collapse. In just the 6 months I've been in the field, I've seen the sentiment get really bad. The system relies on abusing the RBT, get out while you still can. Of course, a lot of these that I read, I really want to ask follow-up questions. Tell me more about that. What does this look like for you? It is what it is. And then someone said that they were on, I don't know if I should do a trigger warning, but there might be some sensitive matter that comes up during this conversation. Someone said that they were on medical leave because I was literally becoming suicidal about having to go to work. When you are forced into situations that are uncomfortable or too difficult, it gets exhausting. Left mostly because of the people in charge. Not a good job in general for making a living. Just from my brief dive in, it looked like a lot of people were more unhappy with centers and clinics than they were within home. I'm sure that I could specifically look for in home and find just as many there, but I was just kind of surprised in general, because a lot of people, in home, we already kind of know that, at least with our agency, we really tried to support, because it's so easy to feel alone, and sure, when you're out in the world by yourself, in home. But so this person said, being an RBT, I find it meaningful. I feel like I'm good at it. I'm struggling right now because I despise the work culture of the clinic. Exploring in-home to escape the nitpicky, cliquish culture of centers. Some people said that they were really happy about being an RBT, and they felt like they could make a difference, but they didn't want to support such a dysfunctional field. Now, little snippet. I couldn't ask follow-up. I guess I could, but I didn't ask follow-up questions. I was just perusing in there. I don't even have an account. Right. So those are that end of it. And I feel like I just want to go ahead and jump into this other side really quickly, so that we can make sure that we're here doing what, following the values of how I want to show up. And then we can still go back and talk about those, because I don't want to dismiss those comments of the people who were unhappy. But there was one, when I was going through, there was a post where it was a parent came in and posted, I get that, she was I get that he or she, I don't know, was, I get that it's really hard to be a tech, and there's a lot of the heavy burnout, but I just want to say that my techs are absolutely phenomenal. And my child put their shoes on this morning, and we were able to go on a family outing with no elopement. And this means the world to me. And it's because of you guys that are doing the hard work. Right. And so then there were a lot of comments from that, saying that, a lot of warm fuzzy, right? There were, I think, 180 comments from that, from tech, saying, wow, I wish I heard this more often. Mm-hmm. No one ever tells me. I don't hear any of these positive feedback, not even from my supervisor. Sometimes a family member will tell me something positive and then report that they told my supervisor 6 months ago, but I never heard about it. And then there was another post that was what are the perks of being an RBT? And so a lot of people were saying it's what they learned while being an RBT, or what they are learning while being an RBT. They're learning to be more patient. They're learning to be more tolerant. They're finding themselves less quick to react in general, not just with their clients, understanding of people's needs, becoming more empathetic, seeing your client learn something new. And, so, yeah. And so then the sense I got in some of the other messages, posts that people are putting on there, it's like they want to feel appreciated. A positive, heartfelt comment from a parent about how their work is making such a difference in their lives could mean all the different, could mean so much to them. And so what I was wondering is, how can we, and then there's the other part here that, someone said that they were really lucky to work with amazing BCBAs, who supported them emotionally and gave thorough training and met with them on a regular basis. Someone else said that their BCBA taught them how to hone into people skills that they didn't know. And someone else said that they gained confidence in themselves because of their training with their BCBA. So that's the synopsis that I got from this. So what I'm wondering is so what I kind of got out of that is, okay, they need to receive more, reinforcement. It's not coming. And if it's coming, it's not coming soon enough. And the other thing too is, it sounds like, and then there were some people on there in general that were like, well, this field, and it doesn't really make enough money in this field anyways. And, it's a dead end. And I feel like we've heard a lot of that before, right? Like, it's a dead end job. We don't make enough money. The schedule's crap, that kind of thing.
Those aren't really people who should be in the field to begin with, in my opinion.
Yeah. And that's what I was going to say, because I also looked in other fields. I looked at linemen and dental hygienists. So I took a piece and these random other, and I said, I wonder how many of these hate messages or I hate my jobs are in here. Mm-hmm. And there were, and those are the kind of things that were in there. Ugh, my schedule is crap. I don't make enough money for this. Oh, the linemen, a lot of them were it's physically demanding. Well, I can imagine, right? There's going to be some burnout there. But for this, I was like, well, how can we focus on for those people who this is in line with their skill set? This job is the right job for them. They are enjoying the idea of being an ABA therapist and the stuff that comes along with it, but they're not getting enough reinforcement for what they're doing. And it sounds like here, they're wanting to be the soft skills that they're learning along the way seem to be invaluable. So I don't know. I'll throw it up to you guys. What are your thoughts after hearing this?
Mallory, you want me to go first? You want to go first? I've got a whole bunch to say.
You can go first if you're ready, because I have so many thoughts.
Okay, so first of all, April, I think you're right. I'm going to focus on the people who should be in this profession, in this industry. First of all, I don't think the field's about to collapse on itself or die or anything like that. That's a little melodramatic. I think there's a lot of changes that do need to be made. We've talked about that multiple times. I think from the beginning of this ABA podcast that we've done, we've always talked about the value of the technician and how everybody needs to be valued and feel like they are appreciated. And the technicians are professionals and need to be treated as such. They should not be treated as less than. It should not be, oh, you're just an RBT. It is, you're an RBT and you're an integral part of this team. The overarching thing that I'm hearing in a lot of those remarks is it's leadership. It starts from the top, and it starts from the culture and the investment in their team, how they even talk about their team. Are they employees or are they team members? That's a big thing. Words do matter. And there's times I will say staff or employees, but that's when I'm talking into a business with a business person, maybe my CPA or something. They're not going to look at it like that. When I'm talking about my team, I talk about them as my team. We are interdependent on each other. There's a relationship here that needs to be recognized on both parties. And so I'm going to, again, focus on people who love the RBT position, not people who are like, well, it's not what you're not doing this for me. The people that you want to invest in need to be recognized. They need to be appreciated. One of the things we do on a regular basis is share the feedback from parents, because that is so important for them to know that the parents are thanking them. Thank you for, and how much the parents worry about them. The parents worry about, oh, did he hit you today? Oh gosh, I hope you don't hate my child and not want to come back. And really, really talking to them about how important they are to the parent and to that child and their development and their success. And in terms of leadership, I mean, you can kind of silo that out between your, clinical and your company, whoever, because not all BCBAs who are wonderful BCBAs can do what they know is right because of maybe the center that they're working for, right? So there's that business component that doesn't always probably align with how the BCBA would do something. But leadership is a huge thing, and investing in your RBTs, because I look at every one of my RBTs as somebody who could potentially be a BCBA, who could potentially be a speech pathologist, who could potentially go into occupational therapy, who could be a teacher, whatever it is. This is a really important position. It is incredibly important, and it is a stepping stone for bigger things. And it needs to be treated as such. It needs to be recognized. And I'm sorry for those people who have that experience, because nothing that you've read is anything I have not heard when we're interviewing for a position. And I think it's just being mindful of where you work. Smaller, more intimate centers and in-home therapy are going to take care of their technicians more, because they can't give them the money that they want. And there's a lot of places that underpay staff too. Like, I'm appalled at some of the stuff I see, the rates I see for for technicians here in Texas. And it's like, wow. I mean, no wonder these people are burnt out. No wonder. And then they're just like, you just do it. To the grid, there's one of the points I do want to mention on the grin and bear it. There is a relationship there as well. You need to leave your problems at the door when you're working with the kids, right? Like, you need to focus your attention on the child at that time. However, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't feel as though you can't go to your BCBA or to a member of leadership and say, hey, I've got some personal things going on right now. Can I take a quick 10-minute break? It's not that, you need to share. You can share as comfortable as you're with that person, but making sure that you have support there, so that we all have bad days. We all have times. Life is hard, and there's times where you really do need somebody to just say, hey, listen, I get it. You're going through a rough patch right now. What can I do to support you? How can I help you here? But when you're with the child, you're with the child. So there has to be that recognition from that standpoint. But you should never just, that's just not how you want to treat. I mean, it's amazing to me, because it's like, is that how you would want to be treated? And the way that people, we've had conversations about elitist BCBAs and we've had conversations about amazing BCBAs. The field itself should not be blamed. It's always got to rest on the leadership and the technician and the clinician. That's just plain and simple. The buck stops at the leadership team. Be it the business team, the clinical team, whoever the leadership is, a lot of that falls on the leadership. But there is a side of accountability and responsibility on the technicians too. I'm not saying there isn't, but yeah, it's unfortunate, because I do think sometimes I've seen great talent or seen people and be like, man, I'm so sorry that you were burned, because you could have been I could have seen you move further in this field, but you were so, just hearing stories from people. And so I'm like, I'm so sorry that was your experience. I really am, because this is a pretty amazing thing to know you're changing a child's life like this. So that's kind of where I'm landing on it at the moment. I'll turn it over to Mallory. It's your turn.
I don't know. I think you mic dropped after that, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure that I can follow that. I think one of the things that just really kept coming to mind is that, people talk about like the 5 different love languages, right? They talk about that in general. And one of my first love languages is words of affirmation. So that's super important to me. And I think that it's hard because I use that as a way to try to connect my team, make sure that they feel appreciated. But I don't think it's always, it's not always, received that way because maybe that's not their actual love language. So I do, always need to try to continue to change things up. I do give, small tokens of appreciation, those kind of things. But really, as we're talking about this, like one of the biggest things is I'm wondering if it's not more of like what we do for them, right, to show appreciation, but it's who is doing it. Because the reality is I can say it over and over and over again, but I only do in-home services. And so it really it means the most when it's coming from the families, right? The families who are the ones who are witnessing the tech every day. And they're seeing, yes, I mean, they feel awful. Like, I just don't want my kid to hit you today. And, trying to reassure them, like, it's okay. If he has a hard day today, that's okay. We're going to move on and start tomorrow like it's completely fresh, like it never even happened, right? So I think that that's the thing. So how can we empower parents or equip parents more into being able to do that? Because I think also there's a little bit of a disconnect, right? We're talking a little bit about ethics here where it was like, well, you can't, the families can't buy presents for the techs. And that's fine. And now it's changed. It was like under $10, I think. Is that like under $10? I'm like, is that under $10 every single day? Or is that under $10? Like, just once a year. So
It's gray.
right. There's always some gray area in ethics, it seems like. But I think that even as a teacher, one of my things is that I would send out a letter shortly before Christmas just saying like gifts are not needed. If you want to send something, have the kids make me something. Have the kids draw me a picture. Have the kids do those things. So even equipping the parents into trying to do those kind of things with their children, to, kind of pass off to the text, using those words, those times for them to be able to express it to the text. Kind of on the other side of that, I feel like maybe I'm working to protect sometimes my texts when families aren't super forward about like the things that they appreciate and are a little bit more critical of the things that they're seeing right in the home. It's very quick it's so easy to point out all of the negative things sometimes, right? Because our kiddos are struggling. I mean, that's just the bottom line, right? But most of them that's why we're there. That's why we're there, right? So it's easy to pick out some of those things. It's not always easy to pick out, hey, you know what? Even though it was a 3-hour really difficult session today, I saw that you pulled him close and you guys were able to sit and actually work on a skill, for even 5 minutes, and he had a smile on his face, or he was just calm, like he had a calm body, right? Like noticing those things, because as BCBAs, for me specifically, like those are the things that I notice. Those are the things that I'm looking for because I start to see the relationship building, especially early on, right? I see the relationship. Are they pairing well? Are they connecting? Is this something that we're going to continue to be able to, nurture and develop over time? And so just continuing to equip the parents in showing appreciation. How can they show appreciation? Maybe I need to do, maybe some events or something. I feel like oftentimes this HIPAA compliance thing and making sure everything is separate, really hinders us from creating more of a community amongst our families. Like I feel really, really conflicted all the time when I have older clients who really need some more socialization, and I want to start, social groups. And okay, even if we don't start a social group with multiple kids, then is it considered more of just like a play date? And is that acceptable? Like, and then I have to get permission from both families, and I just don't want to ever do anything, in quotes wrong. But if that's what the child needs. So I think, that just keeps coming back to my mind. Is like, how can I equip the parents, to do it, to do it more? We're sitting here a lot of the time, how can we show our text appreciation? I think sometimes even the BCBAs get skipped over though too, right? Because we're on the back end, we're creating the treatment plans, they're delivering it for us. They are the meat, right, of our practice, like 100%. But it's also hard too, because on the other side, like we're in the background trying to, stay positive, keep everything moving forward and making sure, progress is going to. So, for RBTs, I think we can all be honest with each other. Any techs and BCs, we can be honest with each other. Like, this is a hard field and we don't feel appreciated sometimes. And I think, Jen, when you said, like, I look at every tech that comes to me as like a potential to continue to move forward with my company and be a true asset, like that is very true. I think it's hard when I talk to some of the techs that come in and I'm saying, hey, would you ever consider, if I see something great, right, would you ever consider moving forward? And some of them are like, that's a lot of school. That's a lot of years from now. That's a lot, to obtain. So when people are saying, this is a dead end job, I don't know. I mean, if they're coming in at entry level and they're not willing to start putting that amount of work into it, it kind of is, right? I mean, you can be a lead RBT, right? You can maybe even be a programmer. Some companies I know have just like programming positions, but I guess, maybe nurturing that a little bit more too would be helpful. But I do look at them, just like you, Jen. I mean, is this someone who is going to stick with me and someone who I can, help further along?
I was just going to say, I didn't know if you wanted to say anything about the dead end job in regards to techs.
Yeah, I mean, I have a lot to say, but like, I guess the way I would approach this is a little bit of the opposite. So, if let's say you are in leadership, maybe you're not a BCBA, maybe this is run by non-BCBAs, or even if you are, looking at it selfishly, just as like, okay, this is annoying, I don't want to have to deal with this, right? Like, it is a dead end job. Like, let's say all these things are true. Like, just looking at the profitability of the company to maximize services, assuming that quality of services is important to you. It should be important to you if you're listening to this. Just looking at it from that, like encouraging your team, like just from a selfish standpoint, is going to improve services, right? It's going, like, if your team feels important, they feel welcome in your company, that is going to in turn provide better services for the parents and the families that you're working with. Like, and again, just forget about how it could impact the techs themselves, right? Like, but it's going to improve your bottom line if you just treat people like humans. You know what I mean? Like, and while I don't look at it that way, like, but it maybe others can look at it that way, and then maybe they can say, okay, fine, maybe we'll add these things to our systems because yes, it will improve things. So I don't know. Maybe I can get some buy-in that way. But like, as far as a dead end job, I would hope. I don't know how I feel about that. I don't want it to be a dead end job, but like the rates that we have, it kind of is a dead end job. I mean, to a certain extent, especially like you said, if you're not willing to put in the time to get your master's, and like April, you're a BC ABA, right? And like, we're trying to like even do CEUs, and like, it's like, oh, how dare you try to do CEUs, right? Like, it's like, okay, fine. Like, so why did you create this position, right? You're essentially making it a dead end job. And so then, I don't know. So like, yeah, but yeah, there, have I said enough?
I think one of the dead end things though it's just like that thought or that feeling or idea, because, sometimes maybe we need to use a different term than like dead end job, because I think we all may feel some of that just because our job never ends. Yes, even if we discharge a client, I still stay up at night worrying about that client that I discharged. Is he going through puberty now and struggling? Is he still connecting socially? Like, I mean, it always goes beyond discharge, at least for me. I know most other PCBAs, it's similar for them. They're, worried. We care about our clients. We truly do. And even for techs, right? It's very rare that you have a tech that's on a case from the beginning and they're able to even be a part, right? Even if they just stay with the company all the way through when that child, is discharged. I have a client who's getting ready to discharge. And I was thinking the other day, I don't have any of my OG staff who started that client. You know what I mean? And so that's hard. I think that's hard. It doesn't ever end. And then we discharge him. And guess what? I have 10 more people on the wait list willing and ready to take his thing. So maybe it's not that dead end job. Maybe it's just that it just doesn't ever end. Right. And it's like, are we feeling a sense of accomplishment?
I like that idea, like that sense of accomplishment, because I wonder too, like, does dead end mean, like, because and this would be again, like I was saying before we started recording, it's like I really have a lot of questions to ask, right? And so and I'm gonna just put that plug out there again. Any techs who want to talk to me, you don't have to come on camera. You can stay anonymous. I would love to have a conversation. But it may be dead end as far as like pay maybe, but like you get to that level, and but there are some ways to like have different levels and to learn new skills. But there again, I think that looks at like the values and the intentions behind, like what do you mean by dead end job? Are you wanting more appreciation, or are you saying that, man, this is like doing the dishes, it's never done, right? You're gonna have more dishes to wash even if these are done. Is it like I'm not gonna make more money? Is it that I would love to be able to work on a passion project and use my creativity more than I'm able to right now? So yeah, definitely it could be looked at many ways, but I do feel like, we all know, right? We all know that we're very limited with, because of funding.
Yeah. I mean, the good news is that there's lots of opportunity, right?
Yeah.
Because I mean, you read those, go, hey, look at all the things I can do. So yeah, I think that there is an opportunity to encourage, opportunity to support, opportunity. And, the board is now coming out with requiring techs to have CEUs. So maybe that's an opportunity too. I think that's a great thing to kind of push people into have that ongoing learning and continuous support, right? So I think that may help.
Jen, I think you were wanting to say something.
A couple things. One, to Mallory's point about the families. The families don't always, I don't think parents understand the impact the kids make on the staff, on their therapists, right? When we've had kids graduate out of our program, and maybe it was, maybe for one of my therapists, it was one of the first kids they ever worked with. They were sad. I mean, it's a bittersweet feeling, right? Like you've invested, you have this relationship with this little person that you have watched come from point A to point B, and the blood, sweat, and tears that you went through together. And I think parents don't always understand that you're dealing with a person who has invested in your child, and there's some real emotion there, and it's hard. It's really hard. You're so excited for that child, but then you're sad because it's like, oh, I don't get to see my little person today anymore, but I'm so excited for everything that's going to happen. But I know I probably will never hear from this person again. Like you've made all this change, helped make all this meaningful change, and you've walked in this transitional journey with these parents and their children. And so I think that's something that is missed a lot of times for team members. And, dead end job, I mean, I feel like you could say that about any profession. You're going to max out at some point everywhere you go. There's just nothing you can do about that. I mean, but you're going to make it a dead end job by your mentality, in my opinion. Now, are there some jobs that's just what it is? Yeah, it is. But that doesn't mean you can't make the best of it and make it be the best, whatever you're at in that position. how are you going to move up in a company anyway if you're not going to give 100% in every position that you're in? You know, how is that even fair? Like, I'm supposed to take that on faith that if I promote you, you're all of a sudden going to make all these amazing changes. You know, I mean, then my final thing is like, it's interesting to me that a field that talks about reinforcement and how we're always supposed to, you know, help this behavior change through reinforcement. We're not doing it to our own team. You know, it's so much easier. Like Mallory said, we all notice the negative. Everybody notices it, but we're not adhering to our own, hey, if you give one negative, you need to do 3 to 5 more positives on that negative, right? If you follow that with your team alone, you would see a lot of change, just acknowledging it. And, you know, Mallory talks about, you know, she does little things for her team and we try to do that too. And we have shout outs, and not just from the BCBAs, but for each other, acknowledging each other as technicians to each other, like, hey, thanks so much for grabbing, picking up after me. I was in a, you know, and that kind of stuff that also builds that family team mentality where everybody's recognizing it and everybody feels valued because things are getting noticed from everyone. You know, to Mallory's point, it's not just coming from a specific person, it's a team effort. And I think that's the sense of community that people want to be a part of. You know, I do.
I think it is super important. I mean, when we do overlaps, you know, we do a lot of overlaps at my company, and I mean, just this week, you know, like I had one of the gals that was overlapping on a case where the, you know, tech is coming onto the case, and you know, she texted me like, "Hey, it went so great this morning," and I literally just screenshot it and sent it to that tech because I didn't know how she felt about how the session went that morning, but like I need her to know, right, that positive things are being said about her behind the scenes, right? Because, and it's even more so because we only do in-home services and we meet once a month, right? Like we meet once a month together as a whole team. We don't have hours upon hours to talk about those things and say those things to each other. I mean, we try to do our best for sure, you know, for the reinforcement. I think that one of the other things I kind of giggle at, I just think, you know, when somebody said like this field is so dysfunctional, like, you know, that saying, like every family has dysfunction. It doesn't matter what field you're in. It doesn't matter what company you're in, right? Because the thing is I went from company to different company, contract, you know, with one company and then contract with another. It's like every company has some sort of dysfunction. Some is just more tolerable than others, right? Or, you know, but I think just the commitment that some of us have just to continue to try to make things better, right? Like, I don't want anybody that's listening to this to ever think that I'm sitting here saying I am the most, you know, like best business owner, best BCBA. Like, there is so much, you know, there's so many things that I need to improve on that I'm constantly worrying about, right? Constantly, it's keeping me up at night sometimes, like making sure that I want to make the best decisions for my techs. I think too, one of the other things that I want to say, maybe just kind of in general, I don't want it to sound insensitive, but I feel like we do need to acknowledge that sometimes we have, you know, I have technicians who really take advantage of my kindness and take advantage of me being empathetic, right? And me trying to lead from a place of that. You know, it's a lot of cancellations, a lot of, you know, things that like if we were working at other companies, it wouldn't be tolerable, right? I mean, it wouldn't be accepted. And that's really hard. So I guess too, even on that side, like I do want techs to consider, you know, the impossible position business owners and BCKs who are also business owners are in when we have to basically tell the insurance, like this client needs this amount of services. And yet we're only able to meet 60%, 70% because of a lot of things, right? There's so many things that are going on. Sicknesses, doctor's appointments, school stuff, you know, like, and I understand that and we try our very best, but it is something that we're essentially prescribing. And if we're not fulfilling that prescription, right, then insurance is going to start saying, the ones who get funded, they're going to start saying to us, like, you guys aren't providing what you said you're providing. If they're not making progress. And so, where do we go from there? So I guess kind of just a little bit of a PSA PSA just to say, like, make sure that you're doing your part too as a technician and not taking advantage of some of the BCBAs and owners who are extremely kind and passionate, because it gets exhausting on our end too.
Yeah. And I'm glad you said that. I was not going to say that because I was like, okay, I'm not going to, but you're right.
It makes me do the negative stuff.
Yeah. Because, but it is true. Okay, first of all, I like the saying, let's put the fun back in dysfunctional instead of we're dysfunctional, but we are dysfunctional. We all are at some point. I think what is important to recognize is the company always, and is leadership always striving to address the holes and do what's right and move forward. We're never going to be perfect. It's just never going to happen. I can't prepare for things I don't know. I don't know what I don't know, But what I can do is promise that if something is not right, we're going to work to make sure that we change it and do what's right. But there's no perfect place. There's just none, because you could have a perfect place and inevitably you're going to have 2 to 3% of the people say, well, they just did this or did this. So you just do the best you can and just treat people the way you want to be treated and do what's right by your team and do what's right by your kids, right? But to Mallory's point, it goes back into this. There's a responsibility in this relationship. This is a relationship. This isn't a one-sided, you come do this, you get paid. This is mutual. This has to be something that we're both working together on. And when you're trying to do right by a person and you have people that try to take advantage of that, it gets hard. It gets really hard to not get jaded. It gets really hard. And you're always talking about a minority here. You're not talking about the majority, because really, honestly, you would say the majority of your team is amazing. But you have every once in a while, and they seem to be the ones that kind of can cast this shadow. And you have to work hard as an owner to not let that, bleed into everything else, But we're human. And, we're going to mess up. We don't always have the answers, but I think it's looking at the bigger picture of, they may not have the answers and they messed up, but did they own it? Did they try to make it right? Are they, at the end of the day, do I feel valued? Do I know that I'm supported? I'm going to be coached. I'm looked at as a professional. I'm treated with dignity. I'm treated with respect. There's a lot to that, I think.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I think that the vast majority of what I've read on Reddit and what you've read on Reddit, right, is just, I just want to be treated like a human being, right? Like, I just want to be appreciated. I want to feel like me coming here is important, and I'm supported, right? And I'm learning. And then I get, right, that, well, this doesn't pay the bills. And so that's where you're going to have to make a decision. And I totally, I can empathize. I wouldn't be able to do a $25 an hour, whatever the rate is in your area. Like, I can't live on that. I couldn't support my family. I totally get it. So you have to make that decision. Is this going to be where I spend my life? Or is this just a kind of a stopping area? I go somewhere else. And so that is a decision that, unfortunately, like many positions, it's a stepping stone, right? And then you can decide where you kind of want to move forward. Mm-hmm.
Which sucks. It is like a transient. I mean, I've heard that a lot, and I've even said it before. It's like, it just sucks because sometimes, this turns into a transient position, positively and negatively, right? I mean, I love when I'm able to give recommendations and referrals to past employees who have left in an ethical way, right, in a kind way, and they've been responsible about giving their notice and, ending things very positively, because then I get, years later and they're like, hey, I'm finishing my degree in psychology and I'm doing this. Can I put you down as a reference? Yes, absolutely. That part, is awesome. But it's not, it's not always that. It's more of a transient position, or this, I'm going to stop here for a little bit and okay, I got burned out. I mean, we don't want to do that, right? Like, that's the hope, is that they stay, that it doesn't turn into that. It's a hard job.
Yeah, it is, totally. And I think though, like, and I don't know what the percentage is. I think the most of these individuals that are feeling that they have nowhere else to go but Reddit are the people that are, it's not, the owners made a mistake and they owned up to it. It's like, this is just an ongoing toxic, I am a number, I'm not an individual. I come here and they don't care if I'm here or not for the most part, right? Like, and again, RBTs reach out. If that's not the case, I want to hear. Like, the podcast is here to teach business owners what is going on. So yeah, if I'm mistaken in that, I would love to know about it. But I feel like that
it's got to be, because we hear from way too many people that aren't aren't like receiving supervision at the right rate.
Yes.
And that kind of comes together, right?
Yes.
That's the minimal. Is making sure that you're supervising your cases at the minimal, rate. But then on top of that, supporting them, being there for them, owning up.
Yes.
Having that open lines of communication.
But then, as you said, Mallory, the BCBA is also in the same position, so where
it could be,
they're overworked,
exactly,
and possibly underpaid and super stressed, and
we are going to be addressing it specifically to BCBAs down soon, in future podcast and topics. So I don't want, for those BCBAs who are listening who aren't at the business owner position yet and are in that stuck spot, we're not leaving you out. Like, we see you too.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of our customers are BCBAs. They just want to do the right thing. And they're like, I can't find a company that's my home. And I'm uncomfortable in these positions. I'm going to start my own thing. Right. And I'm sure Mallory and Jennifer probably very similar to what you would say when you started your thing. Right. So, and I totally get that there is that there as well. Yeah.
I will say, just as a little, for the RBTs or the technicians who are happy with where they're at, which I am so thankful that there's good there. I know there's good places out there. I know there is. Just as a nugget, sometimes thank your BCBA. I mean, a thank you goes a long way. Thanking the BCBA, thanking the business owner, whomever, just like, hey, I really appreciate this opportunity. I can't tell you, when I get thank you cards from my staff or thank yous from my staff, that replenishes my cup. Just a simple thank you. That's all I need. I don't need anything big. So I would also encourage people who are happy, and if they're reading some of these sad things that are being said, and they realize, man, I really do appreciate where I'm at, tell your BCBA, tell your boss, tell your owner, whomever, just say, I just want to say thank you. And then that's all you have to say. Just and just let it go.
When you were talking, I don't know, you were saying something earlier about jobs. Anyways, I had this kumbaya moment. I'm like, it doesn't matter where you work, who you work with, who you work for. It all comes down to humanity and kindness and and gratitude, and you put it out into the world and it's gonna come back to you. So I could and now I also know that all of that woo positive talk, there's a reason why we're not all in that spot right now, is because it was really hard, and not everyone sees the world that way. But if you do, and if you're striving to, then show your share your gratitude with those in your coworkers too.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. Like, I had a boss, I don't remember his name at all, but this is like, I was always comparing myself to myself and others, like, oh, they make a little bit more than me, or, you know, they have a better job than me. And he said, Stephen, you gotta stop doing this. You cannot compare yourself to everybody all the time. You're just gonna have to take a breath and be okay where you're at. And I was like, yeah, whatever, right? Like, and I went like probably 20 years, right? And at the end of it, I was like, man, I just got to breathe. Like, I can't compare myself to everybody else. And then when I started doing that, you know, I felt like a better person myself. So there is some of that too, right? Like, you can't, you are not your paycheck. And again, but you also need to eat, and I totally get that. But those are, but right, like your worth is not in the paycheck. It is not. It is way more than that. And while we can't, obviously, ABA companies cannot pay you your worth, because you are worth way more than what we can afford to pay. But you can't tie your worth to that paycheck all the time. You're going to drive yourself insane. Trust me, I know. I did for years. So,
and you were an ABA therapist.
Yes, and I was not an ABA therapist. And like another thing I've heard very often, same shit, different pile. You can surf companies, and like you have both said, you're gonna find, if you're looking for it, you're gonna find it no matter where you go. So yeah, maybe you can shift your mindset and come at it more positively. Like you said, Jennifer, show appreciation to your supervisor. That may be life-changing in itself, right? Maybe they haven't shown you appreciation because you haven't shown them appreciation. So this is a two-way street. So maybe we can start there.
One of my things, my husband is a military Army recruiter. He's going to retire here soon, so he's put a lot of time in. But when he came into recruiting, him and I both kind of were in this different place. Our careers were definitely shifting into different roles, and both of us really made a commitment just to like recognize that if we take care of our team that's under us, if we take care of them, then they're going to do a better job for us. And in the recruiting world, like, suicide rate is very high, very, very high. It's, you know, even more so in the military. And that was one of the things, is just like we constantly talked about, like, if we take care of them, they're going to do a better job for us. And we have to remind each other of that often. Not that I, stray away from it a lot, but I think that's definitely something that I want to continue to have as a little bit of a mantra for me. If I continue to take care of them, they'll do a better job for me and do a better job for their clients, right? They're able to take care of what's going on at home. So it's not this, loudness in their mind as they're working. Then, they're going to do a better job. They're going to feel more positive about it, at the end of the day. I have techs who have come to me and say, like, when I'm able to go in and see this client and I'm there, it's the highlight of my day. It is the highlight. I want those sessions to be refreshing to them. It's not going to be that way all the time, but that's the goal, right?
Yeah. So, everyone, your challenge today.
Yeah, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to say, thank you very much, Mallory and Jennifer, for coming on this podcast and being vulnerable. Because I truly mean it. And maybe, Jennifer, thank you for reminding me that I need to do it too. But I really appreciate your feedback and your expertise and just I feel like you both enjoy it. And, we're talking about Brooke and Derek as well. But at the same time, man, coming on here can be very scary, right? And putting it all out there for the whole internet, the tens of people that will listen to this. But I appreciate that you come on and do that. So thank you very much for doing that.
I think Jennifer has said it's like therapy for her, and it is very much like therapy for me too. I mean, just like-minded people. So we've talked about that before. So thank you for giving us the opportunity. We really enjoy it. I mean, at least I enjoy it for sure.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate it. I look forward to this. Yeah, I look forward to these. I do. And I'm like, always like, oh, it's going on the internet. But I mean, I can't take it back. So
I haven't actually listened to a full episode because I'm like,
I haven't either.
It's like movie stars that don't watch their own.
Yeah, I can't listen to myself. Yeah, it's hard. It's
Yeah, we have
difficult,
to edit, to watch, to do reels and stuff. And I'm like, oh, guys said that. What was that face? Yeah, totally. So just the fact that you show up and you're here and you're willing to do it, we're so thankful.
But yeah, we did there was an article out there where we're number 3. So, hey, an ABA, number 3, an ABA podcast.
That is, well, I knew, what was it last time you said that? It was like 56?
No, it's just ABA.
Oh, it was ABA?
Yeah.
Weren't we like at number, I mean, I remember you telling us last year we were like starting to grow up. You guys creep up there. So number 3, that's awesome.
In social sciences, we typically get, after a podcast is released, in the 40s, right? But this article was specific to ABA podcast. So yeah, it was kind of cool to see.
Congratulations. That's amazing.
Thanks. Well, you guys are a part of it, so thank you.
Absolutely. You got any parting words, Ava?
I mean, I don't. Just a challenge. Tell someone thank you today. Like, genuinely mean it. And like, there's got to be someone somewhere in your life, even if it's not in your work life, that you really truly appreciate. So take a moment to thank them. So that's all I got. Oh. All right, guys. Thank you so much. And we can't wait to see you guys next time.